What is the crack, everyone? B2B Sports. We are back. Sam is here.
As always.
As always, standard procedure. We're back. There's been loads of sports kicking off, loads of drama kicking off over the past couple of weeks or so. Um, Sam, I'm going to let you choose. What sport do you want to go to first? Mate, there's been loads. There's actually been loads going on.
Let's go with football first.
Football first. Right, Man City this week are in the mud.
Yep.
They've been charged by the Premier League with numerous alleged breaches of financial fair play rules between
Numerous,
2009 and
numerous is understating it. It's like over 100.
over 100 supposedly. But yeah, between 2009 and 2018,
Mm.
potentially paying off a manager, which I would
Really?
imagine is Mancini or some under the books
Yeah.
fees going on there. What are your thoughts on this whole madness?
I mean, I think I was listening. I saw what Vincent Company said, and he said that people are very quick to judge. But if it was the other way around, it'd be very different. And I completely understand that. Man City were in the mud when they were bought. They weren't particularly a massive, not to say they weren't particularly a massive club. They weren't particularly doing, hadn't done well for a long time. Being bought by somebody who had lots of money, and he's built them into a powerhouse. I mean, from a fan's point of view, probably the best owner they could have got.
Yeah.
Um,
Situation, yeah.
the money's always been a bit of a mad one in football. Obviously, the top clubs and the people who have the big owners have been able to spend, and they normally do well. And that's just kind of, and you see that with Newcastle at the moment. They've had all this money put in, and now they're what, third or fourth in the league. So
Yeah.
um, it's difficult because it does very much feel like at times one rule for one, one rule for others, with the financial fair play and everything and loopholes around it. I mean, you see Chelsea at the moment, obviously, they had to put a new rule in. You can't do um, multi-year contracts
hmm
because if you spend 150 million in a player, but given an 8 year contract, you can spread it out, which is what they do in American sports. Um, but they've added that rule into financial fair play that you couldn't do that. Um, I think at the end of the day, I don't think much will happen to them.
hmm
I think it's a result of the Premier League being the biggest league in the world. It attracts big money. Um, and to be fair, the fact that it's gone on for so long is kind of like,
Crazy, yeah.
but how has that been allowed to go on? Surely they know. I mean, it's not out of the blue that Man City have been spending money left, right, and centre.
You're right.
There's always been questions about it. Why is it only now that they've found something untoward? Um, and so I find that I find timing weird. Um, if something does drastic happen to them, I feel bad again for the fans that have kind of had this renaissance of a club, and then if they get, I mean, the most severe ones is like getting relegated to
Mhm.
non-league. Um, I don't think that. I think there will be a points deduction at most,
Yeah.
maybe a fine. And at the end of the day, Pep might leave because he's saying if he was ever lied to or something, he would go. Um, so yeah, I'm mixed feelings about it because obviously it's City and it's funny, um, but at the end of the day, it's gone on since 2009, and I find it weird that they've only just now realised that it might have been illegal.
It is a weird one, and I 100% agree with you. Like the punishments, they range from fines to then also on the other side of it to getting league titles taken away.
Yeah,
That league titles are not going to be taken away. I'm sorry.
no,
Like you can, that Aguero moment, you can't just say that never happened and
no,
that whole
and
title
you
win
can't
was,
take it away from it either. That was
yeah.
It's one of the best moments that's happened in football. Obviously, I didn't enjoy it, but it is one of the. If I was a City fan, that could be the best moment of footballing history for City. I don't think it will be marred by this. Um, it's very difficult. I mean, you see. Saracens rugby, when they were found out to be basically paying their players too much,
Mhm.
they were relegated. But because in rugby there's kind of two leagues, they were relegated to the championship and came up in one season. All their players stayed,
That was it, wasn't
and that was it. Um, but I think that it would be more dire if City were made to play in non-league. Even if they're made to play in the championships, they're going to have to sell a lot of players. But they have hired the lawyer who was Boris Johnson's lawyer for Partygate.
it?
So I imagine they'll get off with a slap on the wrist.
Well, there you go. It's, they're saved, they are. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, I mean, if you look, Chelsea a couple of years ago, they got a transfer ban. Um, if you look at Juventus, they got a points deduction not so long ago. So if Man City do just get a fine, other clubs will be asking and going, hang on, how's this fair?
Yeah.
Um,
And I think apparently a lot of the big six have been asking
Pushing
for
for
the
it.
some most severe punishments, which I mean you would do as the biggest rivals. You've got to. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be competitive if you were just like, yeah, it's fine. I don't think it will have that much impact on the club as a whole. I don't think that the owners will leave. Pep might again, as a Pep might leave. That would probably have the most dire effect of any of it. Um, yeah, we'll see.
It's
Um,
gonna, I would imagine it's gonna take a hell of a long time to get a verdict out of this.
it's taken 4 years to come to it,
Yeah,
and
it's good. Yeah, exactly.
happening.
And then I know that they apparently can't appeal. But again, loopholes are loopholes, and I'm sure this probably has a lot of more twists and turns left in it. But
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Sam. I can't see any major implications on City. I can't see him being relegated or any titles taken away. But I probably, if it is as bad as what it appears, I do expect a points deduction.
well, yeah. I mean, that it should be severe. It really should be probably the most severe one any league has seen. I mean, Juventus had titles stripped away, so it can
mm,
happen. It's just difficult to see it happening in the Premier League,
do you
and it'd be a
think?
bit mad, especially because they won five.
Yeah, that is mad.
That's a lot.
Ole could be a Premier League winning manager, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious that obviously those trophies wouldn't go to the second place. Like United, Liverpool would not get those trophies. But it is quite funny that Ole is basically a Premier League winner, which
um,
is mad.
it is mad. It is mad, and obviously Twitter was an absolute minefield as soon as this news came out. I wouldn't want to be a Man City fan jumping on Twitter that day. But then obviously loads of fans were going, you know, Chelsea fans shouldn't be laughing. This is going to be you next because of old Todd Bowley's shenanigans. And we'll move on to that. We didn't record over the transfer deadline day period, but Enzo to Chelsea, mate. What are your thoughts? What are your
I mean,
100 odd mil, 105 mil on it?
it just seems that Benfica said no, but we'll give it to you for this much as a joke, and Chelsea just went, all right. Was it 110, 115?
I think it was 120 million euros, which equated to about 105 or 110 million pounds or something like that.
But Benfica like bought him for
10, I think it was. I think it was 10 million euros.
10 million, like the beginning of what this season?
I think, yeah, it wasn't long. It wasn't long, maybe a year.
Yeah, the beginning of this season or January and last
Yeah.
season. But they but then he went to the World Cup and now they've sort like incredible business from Benfica. But it seems odd. I mean he's a good player. I don't doubt that. Um I definitely think Todd Bowley's actions towards the transfer market are a bit like insane. He seemed to have just gone for everyone.
Do you think though, look like I think we might have touched on this before, but
That's right.
it's morally wrong. It's morally wrong that, he's signing these players on such a long contract and he's found a loophole. But I also think it's clever business. I just do.
No, 100%. If
Clever
that
business.
is a loophole that for some reason nobody's thought of, no, well, not nobody's thought of, but nobody's I think probably a lot of agents and players don't want to commit to 8 years like you see in the NFL or basketball or anything like that, or baseball. But yeah, at the end of the day, like you said, it's good business. You can pay them less each year. That's less off your wage bill each year. But they're there for 8 years, and it all adds up to the same. It will make it hard to, I guess, sell those players because selling a player on an 8-year contract in their third year,
Yeah,
like selling somebody with 5 years left on the contract, they're gonna have to pay out of their ass for that. Um,
which, it enhances the risk if the player is shit.
yeah,
If the player doesn't live up to potential, or they flop,
yeah,
you're stuck with that player essentially for
literally.
eight and a half
You,
years. So
because nobody's going to pay. Or is it? Well, you bought. How much did you buy Mudryk for? Was it
it's like
100
80,
million?
is it 80 mil and probably around that 80, 100.
Around that. So, and he's signed for 8 years. If he turns out shit in the next two, how do you sell somebody with 6 years left on their contract? Like, if you
That's a
spent
flop.
80
Like, yeah,
million on him, you'd have to expect a ton of money just to buy him out. Oh, yeah, I don't get it. It's I don't think that's going to work because people are going to have to break financial fair play just to buy him
mm,
or sell him. So I don't think that's good long-term business. Obviously, it's a lot. If he's really good, it's great because you've got him in down. But he kind of has to be really, really good,
yeah.
which is difficult
I
and a
mean,
lot of pressure.
whatever you think about Chelsea's business and Todd Bowley this January, like he has changed the game. Nearly technically has completed a rebuild in the space of a January transfer window.
Yeah, and all
So,
credit to him. He's bought every defender under the sun, almost every midfielder under the sun. The
no
fact that
strikes.
he bought a striker is mind-boggling. That he has Havertz up front. He's like, yeah, that's sound. How is that going to work? Um, so yeah, it would be interesting to see how you play in a nice 5-5 formation. That's it.
See, we've got
Yeah,
Dortmund. We've got Dortmund next week in the Champions League, so that is the real test. We'll see how quickly these players can gel together. Um, yeah. United's business. They got Sabitzer on the last
yeah.
day.
I think that's quite
Decent,
good business.
decent. You know, pretty
Great
much
player.
emergency replacement for Ericsson.
Yeah,
Ericsson long
and
term
a bit.
injury.
Yeah, and Casemiro is now out for 3 games, but I think Sabitz is a great get. He's a great player for Salzburg or Leipzig, sorry.
He's at Bayern, mate. He's at Bayern.
Is he?
Yeah, he got signed to Bayern and he don't play because they've got Kimmich and one that's built like a brick shithouse. Goretzka.
Oh, Goretzka, yeah. Oh, fair play.
That's why Bayern were just go
Sure,
on, go on, go on.
that's banging. I think he's a good player. Needed him. Ericsson's injured, gives us a good option. And like United are just playing. It's just nice to see them play at the moment.
Mate,
Obviously, they're 1-0
well,
down at Leeds at the moment, but you're not going to have it win every game.
that's the
Um,
new manager bounce though for Leeds, and every time it happens, every time sack a manager, get a result.
but they don't even have a manager at the moment. But they're going to
Well,
probably
yeah,
going to beat us, and we've got to play them again this weekend.
again,
Yep,
mate,
2 games in a row.
that is mad.
But like, how mad is it of Leeds to sack their manager a, a week before they play Manchester United twice in 4 days, twice in
I
five
don't know.
days?
I don't know. I actually feel for Jesse Marsh. I actually do feel for him a little bit.
They fully backed him through this January transfer window,
Yeah, yeah,
and then it's come to an end, and they've sacked him. And you're like, what's the point?
yeah, yeah.
What's the point of just saying like your manager, yeah, you've got this, and then sacking him? I hate unless a team is doing extremely shit, like Everton were doing when they sacked Frank. I think it's incredibly harsh to sack a manager that early,
Yeah,
or
I
after
thought
you've just said that we're going to stick with them.
it was the same when Thomas Tuchel got sacked from Chelsea. He literally just had the transfer window. He
Yeah,
just signed his players, Aubameyang, whoever he wanted. Bang,
yeah,
gone. Yeah, went like not long after.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of a shit timing. I do feel for the guy. But if they could start pulling out results, then you might have to say it's the right decision. So, um, but yeah, as Sam touched on, Lampard's gone. Phil Mitchell, aka Stone Cold Steve Austin, aka Sean Dyche, he's back, and he got a result over Arsenal as well.
Top of the
So
table. I mean, what else can you ask for in the first match as manager? Beating top of the table.
had like 30% possession, stick a lot of men behind the ball, work hard, and then take your opportunities. Although I didn't watch the game, but Everton had some big chances. They probably could have won the game by maybe a couple goals more. I was hearing. So
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised it's great. Arsenal dropped points, City dropped points, and United won at the weekend. So title charge is on.
Harry Kane, mate. City drop points to Tottenham, their bogey team.
Yeah,
Again, Harry
still
Kane
can't win at that
becomes.
stadium.
No, they can't. I don't think they've scored at that stadium.
They not?
No, I don't think. Honestly, I don't think they've scored at that stadium.
Jesus.
Um, but yeah, Harry Kane, top Tottenham goal scorer. He's reached was it 267 goals for Tottenham now. I think he's got hit 200 in the Premier League for Tottenham. Um, Absolute guy. What a guy! And would you take him at United if you had the
Yeah,
chance?
I don't
Yeah.
see one. I mean, if we got the chance to sign him, I don't think you can turn that down. I don't think any team could turn that down. Um, I think I think when some of the pundits make a point where saying like, if you put Haaland in that team instead of Kane, he's probably not scoring as many goals.
Mhm.
I think that's probably right. I think Kane has to work a bit harder for his than
Yeah, 100%.
Haaland has had to.
100%.
Um, but also Tottenham do play to Harry Kane's strengths, which they have to because he's the only person that will score. And he's a world class finisher. I think if we had him up front, it would be great, and I would love to see it.
Victor,
He'll probably break Shearer's record.
I know there's a lot of talk at the minute. If obviously United had the money, would they go after Victor Osimhen, who's tearing it up in Serie A right now? I think he's marketed a lot over 100 mil.
He has to be. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you could buy him and his strike partner, who has been assisting all over the
Yeah,
place, and they're both playing sick.
they're on
Um,
a tear, mate.
like that as a duo that you need. I mean, I don't know who they've got. They got through the Champions League. I don't know who they've got,
Don't know.
but they've got like a 13-point lead on the top of
Yeah,
the
they're
table.
mad. They're actually smashing it right now. One of the last points I'd like to touch on is Wrexham. Wrexham. They got beat sadly in the FA Cup last night on their replay to Sheffield United. And
Went
seemed
in on
like
them.
Billy Sharp seemed like he's a bit rattled, mate, by
He
Wrexham.
seems very rattled.
Do you agree or disagree? Do you think that Wrexham were taking the piss and thought they were through, or do you think that what's your whole opinion on Wrexham for as well?
I think what Wrexham are doing, what Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney have done, is great.
Yeah.
I don't see any problems with it whatsoever. They're actually improving the club from within, building a new stand. All the stuff there is top of the range, top of the line. They've changed manager, brought in a known manager who can play, who can do well, known striker. Um, the community seems a lot better from that series. The community is really behind them. I think was it Billy Sharp saying they thought they were through already, thinking of going to Tottenham. I'm like, I mean, they're non-league. They've got an FA Cup replay, and they have a chance of playing Spurs. You're going to think about the next round. I think you'd be silly not to. I don't think there's anybody in that Wrexham team who are like, yeah, we'll just get through this one first. You're thinking of playing at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium
You imagine, yeah.
all day of the week. So I think he was a bit rattled. They needed a 91st and a 93rd minute win, like goals to beat them, and a Nick Mullins penalty save. So what Wrexham are doing is sick. I think they'll get promoted this season, and get into the Football League in League Two, and I'm quite excited by seeing Wrexham go.
I think as well that a lot of people thought that this would be some sort of a novelty act that will wear off. Ryan Reynolds will leave, and will leave the club in
Yeah.
in the mud. They'll take over a couple of years or won't run it properly, but they genuinely do look like they care. They genuinely look like they're putting a lot of effort in.
Yeah.
They're going up and greeting the fans. They're
They're at
really
games, like they're regularly, or as regularly as they can be at games when they're like that's better than most owners in the Premier League, and
yeah,
they have
100%,
Premier League clubs.
100%.
So I think I think they're doing great, and
I, I,
it's quite fun to watch. The whole series they brought us, so it's a good watch,
yeah,
um, and they're a good laugh anyway. So
yeah, I like Wrexham. For anyone that's crying about, their owners taking over and stuff like that and ruining the game of football and changing the game, just mate, just adapt with the times, man. If your club was going to be taken over by Hollywood owners, mate, and pumping in money, you'd take it all day long as well. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, Billy Sharp, he had a point. You don't want to see people, you know, doing the old Son celebration and on Twitter and stuff. But you've got to understand where Wrexham are coming from.
yeah,
Sheffield are going to get promoted most likely this year back to the Premier League. Wrexham are still conference, so
yeah.
you've got to understand where they're coming from and the reasons why they are hyped up on social media and all that kind of
That's
thing.
why the FA Cup's so great. Like these teams who are in the conference can play big teams, and that's what the FA Cup's about. Like I think if you're trying to say take them down a peg, be like, I'm glad we beat them. We had to
Mm-hmm.
take them down a peg. I'm like, they're already down 3 pegs on you because they're 3 leagues below you.
Yeah,
The fact that you got them, that they got a replay, that's bad luck on you.
yeah, yeah,
You needed a last minute equalizer to get through. Like Wrexham have done more than enough here.
yeah. Billy Sharp absolutely rattled, mate. NFL, mate. Super Bowl Sunday. It is here. This Sunday coming. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles, mate. Super Bowl. We won't talk about our predictions because we got our predictions completely wrong.
Oh yeah, completely wrong. Yeah.
um, let's talk about it. I've got some mad stat here. Chiefs this year,
Oh, yeah.
16-3 record. Eagles this year, 16-3 record. 546 points scored for the Chiefs. 546 points scored for the Eagles. 6 All Pros, including a Kelsey brother and their QB for the Chiefs. For the Eagles, 6 All Pros, including a Kelsey brother and their QB for the Eagles. AFC's number 1 seed for the Chiefs and the NFC's number 1 seed for the Eagles. You don't get much more even than that.
No, going to overtime.
Going
It's
to
gonna be
overtime.
it's gonna
Is
be
that your
23
early
all.
prediction?
No, I think for me, I think the Eagles are winning.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna go big and go say the Eagles are winning. Um, I think because they were, I'm going from the way they played in the championship game. Obviously, San Francisco had a shit show at quarterback,
Mm.
but the Eagles just look good, and the Chiefs could have been beaten. Like
A very
that's the one thing that
iffy last play, weren't it?
exactly. So I do feel like the Eagles are going to come away with this, and the Eagles just show up annoyingly. And also I don't want the Chiefs to win. I'm pretty
Well,
sure. I'm pretty sure that I don't know who it was. Might have been Travis Kelce that said that if Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, that he'll be the greatest of all time. I'm like,
sorry,
you're right.
sorry. We'll
Like we
talk
won
about the
three
greatest
Super
of all
Bowls.
time in a minute.
Yeah, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But
No,
yeah,
it's going to be a close matchup for sure. For sure. I think the Eagles are probably maybe more the complete side
yeah,
out of the two. But Patrick Mahomes is that special gem. He can create something out of nothing.
definitely.
Although he's still lingering a little bit, that injury, that ankle injury is still lingering a little
Quite
bit,
possibly.
which could hinder him.
Yes,
So yeah, we shall see. I think me and Sam are both going to watch it
yeah,
Sunday evening. Place a
awesome.
couple mad bet builder bets, as we always do. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good one. Rihanna at halftime as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think it's going to be a close one. I think for me, Eagles. As a Vikings fan, I don't like the Eagles. The
I'm
back.
the same with the Chiefs, so is it so you're going Chiefs and I'm going Eagles then?
Yeah,
Fair.
Chiefs win for me. Eagles win for Sam. Um, and then we'll dip dive into Tom Brady. He's retired again, mate.
Yeah. I
Um,
think obviously sounds like it's his final time. Um, I don't see it him coming out of retirement again. It'd be weird. I don't think he's gone. I don't think he's gone out on a whimper. He had one of his best seasons this season, even
yeah,
though they didn't play particularly well as a team. He had a pretty good season. Yeah, and he goes down most Super Bowls as a player, not just a quarterback. Most most Super Bowl MVPs, three normal MVPs. Was it 16 All Pros? Like 15 or something Pro Bowls. Like you can't. He owns the most wins as a player. I think it's most passing yards, most touchdowns. Um, yeah,
pretty
he's
much
just
every record
yeah,
you can imagine he's got. But yeah, he's officially. It looks like he's done. He did an emotional sort of video on his social media that was like pretty impromptu, and he got quite teary at the end of it. Which I think says it all. You know, he's had a hell of a year this year after retiring, coming back, the divorce. You know,
yeah,
struggling with his team. You know, trying to get things going. And I think on his Let's Go podcast, him and Bill Belichick had a nice moment. Did you see it?
yeah.
Like they were
And
each other up and stuff.
uh, Kraft has also said like he'll probably come back with a 1 day contract.
Yeah, I saw
That's what
that.
I want to try and do, which would be nice.
Yeah, well, you called that from the beginning, didn't you? You said that should be
I don't
something
have to.
that goes down. Yeah, it's got to.
Not.
Yeah, and I think Robert Kraft also said like they're gonna try and have like an annual yearly celebration for Tom Brady, which like just
That's a
proves
bit
how
weird.
much proves how
That's a bit
much
weird.
that is a little bit weird. Um,
It's Tom Brady Day, guys, in Boston.
but
We've got
yeah,
we've got a day off on Tom Brady Day.
I think he's now signed a 10-year deal with Fox
Yeah,
for
apparently he had that in like last year, but I don't think it will start until 2024.
yeah, I don't think it starts 2024, but I think he's gonna earn like 350 like $1 million for his 10-year contract, which is
Which makes sense when Tony Romo's getting what 120,
apparently
almost
CBS.
almost saying the N word on TV.
What was
Like
that
what
all
is he?
about?
I don't know. He's just off on one. Apparently, like they don't even want him anymore.
No, apparently they're arguing about his contract and stuff.
Yeah,
Apparently he's in the mud a little bit. I like Greg Olson. Greg Olson that used to play
yeah.
for the Carolina Panthers, proper decent tight end. He's on the up and coming for commentator wise. But yeah, we've said about Tony Romo this year. He's just an absolute egg. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not surprised if they get rid of him because he's like funny play calls and his predicted play calls were like decent at the
Well,
time.
decent.
They're like, oh, he's predicting the play, but now it's just got too much.
Yeah.
Someone else who could be perceived as a bit of an egg. Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee podcast this
He just
week.
he just doesn't go away, does he?
He's revealed that he is going on a 4-day isolation trip um to pretty much figure out his future. And on this isolation trip, he's going to be sat in darkness 4 days
Yeah.
straight. And then obviously that
Well,
is
of
going to help
course, you can't sit in a light room to decide things. You've got to make it as dramatic as possible. So you've got to go for the absolute darkness of 4 days, not hear anyone, probably talk to owls or something. Yeah, he's just weird.
I mean, I
And
didn't think it could get any worse after the ayahuasca trip last year, but you know,
exactly,
he's trying to top it off. He's trying to match
getting
it.
worse. Like anything mad. Um, I think these Pat McAfee things and Roger Tuesday started quite well. And now they've not that they're going off from weirdly. Obviously, he's still quite entertaining to listen to, but he just seems more mad by the day.
Yeah, he's gone really like philosophical, and whatever. If that works for you, then go for it, man. But it just seems so strange to do that. Like, is that what you've got to go through to come up with a decision about your future? Like,
Exactly.
I don't know. All this to play for the Jets next year. Like,
Exactly. Can you imagine if he's at the Jets? Source Gardner in the backfield, just
Sauce Gardner's a baller, though. To be fair,
yeah.
yeah, she's a baller. Um, and also, what I thought was funny this week as well, that Sean Payton has come out of retirement.
Mm.
He was an analyst. He's taken over the Denver Broncos, and apparently he was asked in the press
Oh yeah.
conference, will Russell Wilson be allowed to have his personal coaches in the building? And he's just gone, no, that's
Yeah.
not happening here.
I was
So
like, I never heard of that. Like, I don't know why people do that. So no.
straight up, no.
Yeah, probably is what it's probably what's needed. So
Yeah. So that there goes old Russell's entourage and probably all his weird fitness regimes and all that this year. So, maybe we'll see the Russell Wilson of old, now next year, who knows? And then we'll touch on the Pro Bowl. Did you watch any of the Pro Bowl, any of the Pro Bowl games, or see what was going on?
it looked quite fun. I mean, I know the flag football stuff looked pretty interesting.
Yes.
Some of the games are weird because they weren't actually there. They were like longest drive and stuff. But
Yeah,
I
strange.
think I feel like that was more fun than last year. So I quite liked it.
The flag football looked pretty sick, to be fair. It's like
Mm.
obviously in a smaller field, so I think it's only about 50 yards rather than 100. And
Mm.
obviously, Geno Smith was just hoying it, like
Mm.
slinging it as always. You had like um Tyreek Hill playing it like as a guard or as a cover, like trying to like block the QB passes. And they just mixed it up, and I thought it was good fun.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of Kirk Cousins rolling it out of the pocket, evading like one of the pass rushers, like, and then throwing a touchdown. Like, why don't you do that? Like, normally, you just stand in the pocket and throw it. You never roll out the pocket.
Is he shit?
So that was some cool fun.
There's a reason you got destroyed by the Giants.
We'll move on to the Vikings actually, because they signed Brian Flores as their new defensive coordinator, and I'm buzzing, mate. I'm
Mm.
absolutely buzzing. Um, Obviously, he was head coach at Miami a couple of years ago, and then that sort of went pear shaped behind the scenes for him. And then he was assistant head coach at the Steelers, I think, last year. But he's going to
Mm.
bring a hard, aggressive defense,
Yeah.
something completely opposite to what we've had this year. We played
He's
so
going to
soft
bring
coverage.
he's going to bring a Bill Belichick defense to that team.
Yeah, pretty much, man. He worked under
So
Bill Belichick for ages.
yeah, he was our defensive coordinator a bit. So yeah, I think it'd be great. That's a great addition. It's something you need, and they filled
100%.
it. So I think that's the right direction.
Does it make the Vikings Super Bowl contenders next year in your eyes? Or are the
Uh,
Vikings going to do a Vikings as they always do?
it seems like it. I mean, what did you go? 13-4 or something,
13-4, yeah.
and then but you were like the worst 13-4 team ever
Yeah,
because you had a points differential of like -40.
because our defense was so shit.
Exactly. So the fact that you won any games was quite surprising.
Yeah,
I think wasn't it you went like 11-0 in one score games.
yeah, yeah.
Like that's just mad luck. So I mean with the defense, I'd be insane. You win every time.
It'll be interesting because we've got a lot of veterans like sort of coming to the end of their contract, and is he gonna restructure their deal, or is he gonna have a bit of a fire sale and get rid of everyone? But we shall see. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting off season for the Vikings. We'll move on to a sport that we haven't talked about so far this season: basketball, mate.
Yeah, I was gonna say
We've got to talk about basketball. LeBron, mate,
he's done it
becomes the NBA's all-time leading point scorer, surpassing
in the regular season.
in the regular season. Yeah, that's right. Surpassing 38,387 points by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Jabbar? Don't know. I don't really follow basketball, so. But yeah, mate, 38,000 points is nuts.
It
And
is
it
nuts.
just when you actually deep it, 38,000 points scored.
It's mad, and like I think obviously there's this the big debate of who's the GOAT. Um, he didn't just score. He's up there in assists. He's led the league in assists. Um, he just he can play anywhere on that court. Yeah, I think he's got to be up there for greatest of all time. I
Do you
mean,
think?
straight he was drafted out of college. No, sorry, he was drafted out of high school, which I don't think you can even do now.
No.
I think
I think
I don't think they can do that.
he had so much
Um,
pressure on him at the age of 18. Like it was nuts. Like all the
they,
journalists were on him, you
they
know.
basically said you have to be a Hall of Famer or you're a bust,
Hmm.
and he goes out and becomes the greatest
Surpassed.
basketball player of all time. Like I understand he's not won as many rings as Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan didn't win as many rings as Bill Russell. So
Mhm.
I think the
Exactly.
way you define the GOAT is I think an overall thing, and I think overall he's he's done better.
You
He
know,
got to 10 consecutive finals. That's just ridiculous.
yeah, like Sam mentioned, Jordan won 6 championships, LeBron has won 4. There is still room for him to win. You know, I'm still see him going on for a couple more years, you know. Um, Apparently Jordan had 5 MVPs, LeBron has had 4. 6 final MVPs for Jordan, 4 for LeBron. Yeah, and it's close. It's very close, but like Sam said, what you define as the GOAT, you know, and championships don't necessarily mean GOAT status.
No,
There's been a bit of controversy over um, the iconic shot to get him over that total.
no.
Everyone there was a picture taken of him shooting, and everyone in the
Oh,
crowd in the background was on their phones.
yeah.
And people have come out on social media and said, like, why this is just today's society. Why don't you just live in the moment? Like, what's your opinion? Do you think that it was justified to capture that moment, or do you think you should live in the moment in sporting events?
I think it's difficult to judge. I think I understand where they're coming from. Whereas like, it's going to be recorded, and if you're going to be watching it on, like, I don't, if you're going to be watching a small, like, are you really watching it? Or are you just watching it to be able to watch it back? But then again, people want to obviously be a part of history, which is they're there, but they also want to keep a part of history. Like they record it. I mean, I was at Wembley when Rooney broke um, the England record, and I recorded it.
Yeah.
I confess I have no idea where that video is, um, but I think it's perfectly reasonable for somebody to film it. I don't think that's to take anything away from the sport or taking anything away from them being there at that moment. It's just somebody people want keepsakes, and I think that's fair. They've probably paid an absolute shit ton for those
Yeah,
tickets. They do
yeah.
what they want.
Exactly,
I think,
exactly. I think that having that memory on your phone or whatever device for the rest of your life is something to cherish. You know, I do get where people are coming from. Like you could just witness it with your own eyes, and you'll probably be in that moment a little bit more.
yeah.
But yeah, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with people filming. I think the only person that wasn't filming or taking a photo at that moment was this old dude sat on the front row, and people were saying like, "What? Like, why is he not capturing this moment?" Apparently, it's like his agent or something that's
Oh,
probably
for
seen him do this, like
so
seen
many
him do it like
times.
so many times.
He doesn't
Not break the
care.
record, of course, but like seeing him just shoot hoops. So he didn't really need
He
to
doesn't give
film
a shit.
anything. But
He's like he's top scorer. Who cares?
he's what it is, mate. Just easy does it. Does it in his sleep. But you're saying LeBron the GOAT, are you?
I think it's getting harder to say that he's not the GOAT. I think obviously I didn't follow basketball when Michael Jordan was around. I know it was a massive thing. Um, I don't think the teams that Michael Jordan plays were as good as the ones that LeBron has played. I think he's playing against like the Golden State Warriors dynasties. You've got the best shooter of all time
Yeah.
in the Golden State team, and I think to to even get to 10 finals in a row, yes, he lost the majority. But to get them, that consistency is ridiculous. And he changed teams.
Yeah.
Like he still got to the finals consecutively after changing
Changing
teams.
teams.
Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
No.
That you surely can't have that much influence as one player to get the whole team to the finals. Especially it was the Cavaliers. They were shit the year before. Got there, they got to the finals, almost lost the finals, and got staged one of the biggest comeback in NBA history. Oh yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I think that he's the GOAT
All I'm
personally.
saying is I can't wait for a Last Dance style
Yeah,
documentary about his life when it comes out.
it'll be
That'd
sick.
be nuts. Absolutely nuts. Um, but yeah, we move to a bit of tennis. In our little week or so break that we had, Djokovic won another major. Got the Australian Open final. He won that against Tsitsipas pretty comfortably in the end.
Yeah.
Ever in doubt? Did you watch any of it, or did you?
No, I was out at the time. Um, but yeah, it was kind of inevitable. Tsitsipas, I just can't do it on the big stage. I feel like if he played Zverev in the finals, Zverev could have done it because it seems to be his bogeyman in the finals. But yeah, Djokovic in an Australian Open finals is a no-brainer. I do think that Djokovic will probably end up with the most Grand Slams out of anybody when Nadal retires. When they both retire. I just think that's inevitable.
He's looking the most healthy, I would say.
Yeah.
Roger's retired now. Nadal is struggling. We'll pray that he's going to be okay for the French Open stuff. But he
Yeah.
struggled again with injury in Australia. So yeah, he's looking good. He's looking good in terms of career high Grand Slams for Djokovic.
Yeah.
What's his obviously I know that Nadal is heavily dominant at the French Open, but is Djokovic how does Djokovic play there? Does he
Pretty sick.
still
Yeah.
incredible?
Yeah. I think he's beatable. I mean, he's got into many finals. He lost to Stan Wawrinka and I think two finals. Um, he's lost to Nadal in the finals, but he's also I think the only person to beat Nadal in the final.
Hmm.
Or no, it was I think maybe not be in the final, like the semi-final, but one of the only people to beat Nadal on clay. Um, so yeah, he's still pretty dominant
Yeah.
even on clay.
I saw a story on Twitter from Jessica Pegula, who's one of the women's tennis players.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's like ranked 3 in the world. But she like tweeted the story out of her like story over the past year, and it's pretty an emotional one to be honest. And it's like it explains how her mum suffered a heart attack, and you know her road to recovery, and she might not ever go back to the way she fully was.
Yeah.
And she revealed that her mum is the owner of the Buffalo Bills. You know, it's her parents are the owners of the Buffalo Bills, and no information or no knowledge of her mum's situation was ever really given out to the fans until
No.
she released the story. And now all the fans know that, like, and even the people inside the organization didn't really know what had happened to her mum. And she came
Wow.
out with this story. It's actually a proper good read and how it's impacted her career. And she was saying that when she was at the Australian Open, when she heard about what happened to Damar Hamlin, it was like this
Yeah.
weird series of events because obviously that was in the Buffalo Bills organization. It had like a big
Yeah.
impact on her competing in Australia and the emotions and stuff. Like, it's a really good read, so I just recommend anyone to go read that
Wow.
story. F1. There are 4 F1 teams that have released their new liveries for the upcoming season: Haas, Williams, Alfa Romeo, and Red Bull. We'll probably do a full-on video touching on our ratings like we did last year. But any thoughts so far? You seen any of them or?
Romeo's best one by far.
Yeah. Alfa
Alfa
Romeo,
Romeo looks sick.
it is clean. I can't lie, and
That is it's so nice looking.
it's the Italian flag at the back. That's
Yeah.
so sick. Obviously they've gone for the black and red theme this year rather than the red and white that they went last year. But yeah, it is clean. It does look
Yeah.
good. Williams has surprised me as well. There's a proper nice sponsorship touch. Have you seen the Duracell battery on
Yeah,
the?
apparently that was on their car last year at one point.
No way, really?
Yeah, apparently that they did a special livery and it was on there. I don't remember it. But yeah, that looks pretty clean.
I like it. I like it. To be fair,
Yeah,
from Williams, Red Bull.
it's the
Right.
same thing.
They've not changed for about a decade.
No, I mean, there's very little to change on that car. I don't really understand how they can get any, but yeah, it's the same. So it's oh fuck, Leeds have just won 2-0 up.
Oh, brutal scene.
Varane own goal.
Varane own goal. Oh dear. Not good. Not good, United. It can change like that. Oh, let's hope
Yeah,
everyone drops points and Chelsea can get back in it.
yeah. Just how many points do we have to drop? Right, a lot.
Oh,
We're only 12 points ahead of you. So that's while losing.
yeah, that is our losing. Yeah, and we've got to beat West Ham at the weekend. So,
Tough
um,
game. Tough game.
but yeah, going back to Red Bull. If to be fair to them, don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the but the thing is, like the longer they don't change their car, the more that they just cement those colors in. Like Ferrari can never really get rid of the red, can they? Ferrari can never just go blue.
No,
You highly doubt it anyway.
no.
Um, so yeah, we'll see. And I'm hoping for a Mercedes black car this year.
Yeah, I
Black
think
car.
that looked good. Same
Yeah,
as 2019, I think.
yeah.
2020, but yeah, oh, that'd be really good.
I went
Something
to
different.
the I went to the Silverstone Museum as well, son.
Yeah. How was it?
It was okay. It was okay. It was good. I probably had a little too high expectations.
Yeah, I can understand that.
A lot of the interactive stuff was aimed at kids,
Yeah, there's not that much
not
interactive that
adults.
you can actually do. Did you go into the little like thing where you sit back to look?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was disappointing.
yeah, that was really disappointing. You're just
That
like,
would be-
the fuck is this?
It's called, for anyone that hasn't been, it was called the Ultimate Lap. And
Yeah,
you go into this little room, and there's a massive, I don't know, it might be different for you, son, but there was this massive screen along the wall. And you're basically, it's a video that you watch, and there's a guy, you're in a first person position in the car in the pit lane. And there's like an engineer that comes over to you and it's like going all along your debrief and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, we've got this driver out there, we've got this driver out there. And he's basically prepping you to go on the race. And then he goes, right, it's your time to go. So this door opens up and you go into this cinema, like dome cinema, like looks like 4DX kind of thing. Um, and yeah, you sit there and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be first person point of view with
yeah,
like a driver going around the track. And it comes on and it's like this, it's a cartoon. And
yeah.
it's like got all these, like not silly, well, it is silly things. It's got like a bomber plane going onto the track and like pushing you off the track and like there's motorcyclists and it's cartoon and it's
Well,
naff.
it used to
It's
be a runway.
obviously yeah, it used to be a runway, so that makes sense. But it's just a little bit
Come
like
on, no, it was ridiculous. I do agree. I think the coolest bit is at the end when all the cars are there. You can see all like you got the Force India like pink and everything.
yeah,
That's the best. That was the best bit I
yeah,
thought.
yeah. You can see yeah, the Force India. You can see Danny Rick's Red Bull car. You can see all types of cars, motorcycles, and that kind of thing. That was pretty cool. On the whole, it was good, and you got to walk around. I don't know if you got to walk around the old part of the old track.
No, we didn't walk outside. No.
No, we got to walk a part of this old track, and it had like this big graffiti of Lewis Hamilton. You can see like onto the new track. You go to the barriers and stuff. It was pretty good to be fair, but yeah, just a little bit underwhelming, I'd say, a little bit.
Anticlimax.
And then lastly, we'll touch on a bit of UFC and boxing news. Tommy Fury and Jake Paul are supposedly meant to fight. So
Finally. I mean, I'm not very hyped for that fight. I'm not really hyped for any of them. I mean, again, I'm going to root for Tommy Fury and hope he can knock Jake Paul out. But at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul knocks him out in some weird way again. Like he just stands still and then he'll knock him out and be like, yeah,
Yeah,
sick.
that's it. Um, you say finally as well, but it might not even go ahead because
No,
Tommy didn't appear for the first press conference today. He didn't show up.
no. So it probably won't happen again, like you said.
That's great.
Be absolutely
Um,
useless.
yeah, so the UFC have announced that um, Chandler versus McGregor. This is very interesting. They've announced that these two are going to be head coaches on the Ultimate Fighter series, and that they're both going to fight at the end of it. No date or location has been announced yet, but that fight interests me so much.
Yeah,
Obviously, Conor McGregor coming off two losses to Dustin Poirier, one knockout, one broken leg. Um, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. Is it the Conor of old? Is he ever going to show up again, or is it going to be, you know, this rusty Conor? Michael Chandler's, I know he's lost a couple in UFC, but he's still a tough opponent to go
yeah.
up against. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And also you've got Makachev versus Volkanovski this weekend. Probably the worst marketed super fight of all time.
I didn't, I know, but like you said, I hadn't heard anything about it.
You've not heard anything about it. Obviously, Makachev beat Oliveira for the lightweight bout last year. That was a good bout that had a lot of hype around it. You've got a super fight now with the featherweight coming up to lightweight to try and take Makachev's belt in Australia, one of the probably most biggest seated sporting UFC venues there are, and it's not been promoted, it's not been marketed at all. So
No.
a bit of a shame, but it is what it is, mate. It is what it is. Um, yeah, and that wraps up the podcast. Any shockers or heroes of the week at all?
I mean, City probably have to be a shocker.
Man City, yeah, that's fair.
It's, they're ridiculous.
I was gonna say Chelsea. Their promotional videos at the minute have been horrendous. I don't know if you saw the one
I
about
try not to watch any Chelsea promotional videos.
apparently there was one that they about giving Enzo his number 5 shirt number. Um, and it was really, really bizarre. And there was this guy and he was behind the camera and he's asking the Chelsea players, like, do you want to keep this shirt or do you want to double it? And it was the whole point of doubling 1.25 to 2.5. And then they asked Reece James, do you want to double it or do you want to keep it as it is or something like that? And they go double
Yeah.
it. And he goes to 5 and they just hand the shirt to Enzo. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. Terrible acting from the Chelsea players, terrible directing. Just yeah. I've got to call a spade, and that was horrendous, to be fair.
Oh dear.
Um,
That's
any heroes for you? Anyone that's been on a mad one or done well recently, or
Tom Brady
Tom Brady?
just
Fair enough.
retiring, greatest of all time.
And also, I saw a video of Saka bouncing the ball off Pickford's head when they won.
Yeah.
They were beating Everton in a bit of a brawl, so I thought it was funny. But yeah, that wraps up the pod. We'll keep you updated on the outcome of the Super Bowl. And yeah, we'll probably catch you again next week or the week after. So
In
in a bit. See you later.
a bit.